Did people in the Middle Ages work out? Of course they didn't. They were far too busy toiling away in the fields for that sort of thing. Hang on, some of us did. Did you hear something? Anyway, fact is that it's true that for the lower orders of society, they probably didn't follow exercise regimes very much, but for those in more exalted positions, they definitely did. And we know that because we have lots of surviving exercise manuals. Surprising, but true. Now, I spoke to Professor Carole Rawcliffe, who studied this, and we chatted on the History Extra podcast. Here's a clip of what she had to say.
We know that because we've got an enormous amount of written evidence about this. These documents focus on regimens of health. These are guides to keeping fit in the Middle Ages. And just as we have lots of articles and books about keeping fit today, so in later Middle Ages, these books began to circulate. Started out for the rich and famous and, well-to-do people in high status. And then they began to trickle downwards, being written in English or German or French or whatever in the vernacular. So there's no shortage of information about this at all.
So that's right, regimens or advice guides for keeping fit and generally living well were in wide circulation during the later Middle Ages, particularly after the advent of the printing press. We have evidence of monks climbing up ropes and jumping over hedges, kings wrestling, and nuns enjoying brisk walks around their gardens. But they weren't exercising for the same reasons as we do today. Medieval people were very keen on the concept of the four humours. Humoral theory, based on the work of Galen and other classical authorities, was a fundamental way of understanding how the body worked in the Middle Ages. It was important for people to know whether their dominant humour erred more towards blood, hot and wet, phlegm, cold and wet, black bile, cold and dry, or yellow bile, hot and dry. And doing gentle exercise was a way to manage those different humours and keep them broadly in balance, thereby avoiding illness. So for medieval people, the point of working out was to keep those four humours in balance and to maintain mental and spiritual equilibrium. So what can we learn from the medieval exercise regime? Let's ask a monk. Hi, I'm a monk. I think I've seen you somewhere before. Right, so I'm going out for a run. I've just had my lunch, but I've got a meeting in an hour, so I've got time for a quick jog. What do you think? No. It's crazy to work out after a meal. You need to let the humoral matter that was in your food spread around your body. You should only exercise on an empty stomach because it was then that your body would be best able to get rid of those corrupt humours that might cause you disease. Okay, well that seems sensible, I guess. I'll let my food go down, but then I'm going to go for a hard run. I'm going to do some speed work and push myself to really get my heart rate up. Are you an idiot? Why would you do that? Gentle exercise is what you need to do. You don't want to get out of breath. That's bad for you. Moderation, my son, moderation. You'd be far better just going for a brisk walk. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll go to the gym then and do some weights. It looks like it's going to rain, so I'll be better indoors anyway. What? Again, just no, you don't seem to be very bright. Don't go indoors and exercise. You want to get outside and enjoy nature. Get out in the garden, have a stroll. It'll make you less anxious. You do seem quite anxious. Blimey, okay, I'll knock the gym idea on the head. The lads are going for a kick around in the park though, so maybe I'll do that. Don't worry, I'll go easy. I'm playing goal or something. Kick around? What do you mean? Football, I'm going to go and play football. Soccer for the Americans out there. Surely you haven't got a problem with that. What? I don't know what America is, and I've never heard of soccer, but football? I thought you were a better man than that. You can't seriously be thinking of going out and roughing it with the peasantry. Everyone knows that football is a beastly and excessively violent sport. Definitely not something that a man of your status should be doing. Also, you're rubbish at keepy ups. Go and do some archery or dancing. That's much more in keeping. Oh, okay, I do need to do a few sit-ups though to try and shift this dad bod before the summer. You're so vain. You probably think this video is about you. I can't believe you'd exercise with such frivolous ambitions in mind. You should be working out to bring you closer to God. Think about the spiritual, not the six-pack, my son. Those of you who've been watching carefully might have noticed that the medieval monk was actually just me, not a medieval monk at all. I asked Carole Rawcliffe what a real medieval monk might have thought of the way that we do exercise.
I think he might have been rather unimpressed. I think he might have thought that people had lost their sense of priority and they ought perhaps to be spending a little bit more of that time thinking about their immortal health. But perhaps if he was a young friar, he might have been very anxious to get on that exercise bike and have a go himself.
If you want to hear more from Professor Rawcliffe about the concept of medieval keep fit, then listen to the History Extra podcast that I did with her on the feed.